You ever think a billionaire could forget what real wealth means until a starving little girl walks straight into his fortress and just asks for $1? Yeah, that happened. On a November night when New York rain hammered the glass of the 42nd floor, when the whole city felt cold, but one man's office was colder still, all marble and oak and trophy walls. Marcus Sterling, Mr. Untouchable, king of tech, his safe wide open behind him, $100 million stacked like it was nothing but green bricks in the shadows, sat there lost in reports and market predictions, convinced his power was absolute. But the universe, man, it's got a dark sense of humor. Right then, he heard this tiny scratching at the door, soft but desperate, a sound nobody in his world had ever made. Not since he left Akron, Ohio, in the rear view. He opened up, expecting janitors or security, but instead, there she was, a little girl, maybe 7, hair a mess, blue eyes too wise, oversized coat swallowing her frame, shoes leaking rain, cheeks stained with city grime and maybe tears, but her chin was up, her voice trembling but polite. "Excuse me, sir. I know you're busy, but do you have any food? I haven't eaten in 3 days." Right then, all his business instincts melted away. How'd she even get past security? She told him, calm and practical, slipped in behind the food delivery man, hid in the stairwell, waited for everyone to go. That's street smarts no Ivy League kid ever learned. Her name was Hope. Of course it was. Her mother's last gift. Gone 8 months now. Heart gave out from too many jobs and not enough luck. No dad, no family left, just shelter beds and street corners, and the courage to ask a billionaire for bread, not a handout. Marcus brought her inside. The heat, the view, the luxury. None of it seemed to matter, except when Hope caught sight of the safe, the mountain of cash just sitting there. She froze. He braced himself, half expecting her to grab for it, like anyone would in her shoes. But instead she turned, voice almost apologetic. "I know this sounds crazy, but could you lend me just $1? I swear I'll pay it back. I just need something to eat." Out of all the things he'd heard in boardrooms, begging, bargaining, threats, nobody ever asked for just one honest dollar, standing 3 feet from a fortune. You could see it in his face. For the first time in years, he felt poor compared to this kid's dignity. He tested her. Maybe not his proudest moment. "You know, you could take more than $1. No one would even notice." She looked at him like he was the child, but that'd be stealing. Mama always said integrity is worth more than money. If you lose it, you lose yourself. And right then, something in Marcus cracked, a memory of his own mother, double shifts in greasy diners, teaching him the same thing before he traded it for power and marble floors. Oh, he made her grilled cheese and soup. Nothing fancy, just warmth. She ate slow, careful, savoring every bite, and then asked, "Why are you being so nice? Most people cross the street to avoid me." He told her his secret, how once he was the hungry kid, sleeping in a car, invisible to the world, saved by a few strangers' kindness. And suddenly, they weren't billionaire and orphan. They were just 2 people who'd seen the bottom, who'd been saved and didn't forget it. Here's where the twist comes in. Social services showed up, with a detective and 2 stern women, clipboard warriors ready to question everything. Hope held Marcus's hand like it was a lifeline, and when they started asking, she told the truth. "I just asked for food. I didn't steal anything." The detective raised an eyebrow. "Who was your mother?" Hope answered, "Rachel Matthews. She cleaned offices at night. Something with Sterling in the name." Marcus went pale. Turned out, for 2 years, her mom had quietly cleaned his office, left thank you notes for the crew, watched him work late, saw the family photos on his desk, and Marcus, king of the castle, never noticed her face. Now here he was, face to face with her legacy. It shook him, bad. The caseworkers ran background checks, found old payroll records. Rachel had worked for his company, cleaned his space, left behind journals, photos, letters. In one, to Hope, she'd written, "When you're alone, find the man with the safe on the 42nd floor. He has a good heart. He'll take care of you." That was destiny, or maybe just a mother moving mountains in silence. Marcus didn't hesitate. "I want to be your guardian, Hope. Not just for tonight, for good. If you'll have me. Hope, scared but hopeful, asked for what mattered. A room with books, a real bed, a chance to go to school. Will you still want me when I make mistakes? Marcus promised, always. You don't have to earn love. You already belong here. Even the tough caseworkers were moved. Emergency custody became adoption. Marcus restructured his whole life, stepped back from business, made hope his priority. The most important merger of my life, he told the press, who thought he was losing his mind. But every good story needs a final test. A woman showed up, claimed to be Hope's aunt, threatened a custody battle, brought lawyers, painted Marcus as some cold billionaire trying to buy a child. Hope was the one who cracked the case. If she was family, there'd be pictures of her with Mama. Let's see the albums. There were none. The aunt was a fraud, chasing a settlement. The judge ruled in Marcus's favor. Hope's faith, her mother's planning, Marcus's love, all vindicated. Their first Christmas together, snow falling on Manhattan. Hope unwrapped a small box left by her mother. A silver locket with Hope and Mama, forever connected, engraved inside. In that moment, with Marcus, now Dad, beside her, she finally believed she was home. And Marcus, a man who once measured his worth by money and headlines, finally understood real wealth. It's not in what you keep locked in a safe. It's what you give away, who you choose, and who chooses you back. But life isn't a fairy tale. There's still pain, still days when old fears come knocking, still questions about whether love can erase the past. Hope asked, Dad, will we always have each other, even when I'm grown? And Marcus, fighting back tears, promised, forever and always. Some nights, he'd stare out over the city, remembering the sound of a little girl scratching at his door. How one small voice asking for $1 rewrote his whole story. Oh, here's the part where I ask you. What would you have done in Marcus's shoes or Hope's? Is family something you're born into, or something you build by choice and courage? Does real wealth come from money, or from the lives you change? Share your thoughts below. Let's talk about what hope and justice mean where you live. Because sometimes, the smallest knock on the door is the one that changes everything. Life had a way of throwing curveballs, even after you think you've crossed the finish line. For Marcus and Hope, that first Christmas in the penthouse felt like a fresh start. Presents under the 12-foot tree, snow settling on the city outside, the locket from Rachel resting against Hope's heart. But new beginnings always come with shadows, and even the brightest penthouse can feel a little cold when the world starts asking if your happiness is real or just borrowed. School was the first real test. Hope, now officially Hope Matthew Sterling, showed up at the fancy prep academy in a blue dress and sparkling eyes, clutching a backpack nearly as big as she was. The kids stared, some curious, some jealous, some just mean, because that's what rich kids do when they don't understand the new kid who came from nowhere. At lunch, she sat by herself, poking at her sandwich, trying to figure out how to fit in with children who had never been hungry, never spent a night on a hard floor, never carried their whole life in a plastic bag. You know how it is. Kids can spot a stranger a mile away, especially one who's trying too hard not to look lost. Marcus tried to help. He became the kind of dad he never had. A lunchbox note every morning. You're braver than you believe. Love, Dad. Picking her up at the gates, making pancakes on Saturdays, even showing up at a PTA meeting in a suit that cost more than some family's cars, trying not to look out of place among the yoga moms and Wall Street dads. Sometimes he nailed it, sometimes he didn't. Parenting didn't come with a quarterly report. More than once, he caught himself staring at Hope as she slept, wondering if he was doing enough, if love could really fill all the cracks money couldn't reach. Then came the day when Hope came home, dropped her backpack, and just stood there, silent. Marcus knelt down. Tough day? She shrugged, trying to look tough, but the tears gave her away. They said I'm only here because you needed someone to show off for. That I'm just a charity case. Marcus's heart broke, because he remembered being that kid, too. He pulled her close. Listen, Hope. You are not here because of charity. You're here because you are my family. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. People can talk. Let them. We know the truth. But words only go so far. Actions, that's what counts. The next day, Hope did something that surprised everyone. She signed up for the school's science fair. Her project? How hope works, cleaning water with sunlight. She wanted to show that even the smallest person could make a big difference, and she worked for weeks, building her experiment in Marcus's home office, water everywhere, books and wires and paper scraps. When the day of the fair came, she stood up on stage, voice shaking at first but getting stronger with every word, explaining how sunlight could clean dirty water, how hope could turn something broken into something new. And in the crowd, a few kids started to clap, then more, and suddenly she wasn't the outsider anymore. She was Hope Sterling, the kid who believed anything was possible. Marcus watched from the back, tears in his eyes, pride in his chest. He realized you can't protect your kid from every storm, but you can stand with them in the rain, hold the umbrella, and cheer the loudest. Still, nothing in life is simple. One afternoon, while Hope was at a friend's house, yeah, she finally made friends, Marcus got a call that would shake everything. Detective Sarah Richardson was back, and her voice was urgent. Marcus, there's something you need to know. Someone's been asking questions about Hope, about the adoption, about your business. Old records, news clippings, stuff only a determined reporter or a determined enemy would dig up. Marcus's mind went into overdrive. Was someone trying to hurt them? To use Hope against him? He thought he'd left those kinds of games behind. But the past has a way of knocking when you least expect it. When Hope got home, Marcus sat her down, told her the truth. No secrets, not anymore. Sometimes people want to make a story out of our lives. Sometimes they just want to hurt people who are happy. Hope listened, all seriousness and quiet bravery, and then said, well, let them try. We have each other, and I'm not afraid. That night, as the city lights flickered far below, Marcus realized this was what family was, standing together, facing whatever came next, knowing that hope is never just a wish. It's a decision you make, day after day, to choose each other even when the world wants to pull you apart. And as for that reporter, as for the questions and the digging and the rumors, well, that's another story, isn't it? The real point is, sometimes a little girl asking for one honest dollar can teach a billionaire how to fight for what matters, not with money or power, but with heart. So what do you think? Would you have the courage to stand by someone when the world starts asking questions? Can family truly be built, not from blood, but from battles fought side by side? Drop your thoughts below. Let's see what hope means where you are.